Za chwilę w studiu festiwalowym rozmowa z Erikiem Schmittem, niemieckim reżyserem, autorem filmu Solartaxi. Film opowiada o podróży Louisema Palmera, skonstruowanym przez siebie pojazdem napędzanym energią słoneczną.
Welcome to Krakow Film Festival. Very pleased to meet you. Tell me about your film. How was the story behind it?
Okay, my film is about the first time somebody drove around the world only by solar power. So it's a story of a Swiss guy who, as a child, always dreamed to go around the world with a solar-powered car, and he always thought, when I grow up, everybody will have solar cars. And then he grows up and he finds out that you still can't buy solar cars, so he decides to build one himself. He builds it and he drives around the world with it. That's the story.
And how come did you come across with him, with Louisem Palmerem?
Yeah, it's kind of a funny long story, which I will try to tell you short, but a friend of mine called me and said, hey, there's this guy and he's driving around the world and he's looking for someone who makes a camera, you want to join? And I said, of course not, I have better things to do. And then a couple of months later I was working on another film and they needed pictures from that same project by coincidence. And I found those pictures on his website and it was written, we're on the tour and we need someone who makes a camera. And then I said, okay, that's the second time I've been called. I applied for money and I got some money and I joined the tour.
Okay, I mean, to me it's pretty extraordinary film because somehow there is so many documentaries talking about global warming, but yours, it's funny and you know it has the positive aspect to it. So how do people react?
Usually we have a very positive effect. People watching this film, they don't get this, oh, you know, it's bad what you're doing, you shouldn't do that, or you should change your behavior. We have, look, there's the solution, it's there, it's working, so let's go, we can do it. So this we can do it, or somebody did it, so I can do it as well, feeling is the important part of it. And at the same time, it's a problem because from a film point of view, we don't have the typical problem. We don't have this conflict we usually want to have, you know? It's just the story about this guy who drives around the world and he makes it. He has some problems, but it works. And that's the positive message, but for the film it's difficult, you know, not to show any conflict in a way.
Do you know how much he paid for the car to make it? It must be so expensive.
Yeah, it's difficult to say because, you know, it was made by over 200 people, students, friends, everybody helped. He keeps on telling that if you want to build this car and pay everybody, it costs as much as a Ferrari, or 2 Ferraris probably. But he didn't really put money on the table because, you know, everybody
chipped in, kind of
thing.
Okay.
Exactly.
And how does it work with making a film in so many countries? You shot it in 40 countries, and it was quite a long process. So did you have any difficulties?
Well, the whole trip was 18 months. So of course, I couldn't be there for 18 months, traveling all the time with him. I had to pick some of the countries that were most interesting and follow him for maybe 6 weeks or 7 weeks, and I had to go back and apply for new money. So I basically chose India, China, Australia, US, Europe, so the big parts of the trip, and I followed him then. That was the way to do it.
And did you come to Poland during that? Of course you did, and I mean not yourself, but...
Yeah. Well, the trip almost ended in Poland, as in the UN climate change conference, which was in Poznan. And the Solartaxi was invited there. There was a strong connection between the UN and the Solartaxi during the trip. We were also in Bali the year before. There was a big climate change conference. So there was one of the moments where we all had the feeling, okay, now we really did it around the world, because we started in Europe and we arrived in Poznan, and that was a couple of days before we really finished the tour in Switzerland. But it was a great feeling to be in Poznan. The only problem, which you will see in the film, is that it meant that we had to make the trip a bit longer, and it also meant that we had to be in Poland in wintertime, which is colder than everything else we expected. The whole trip was based on the idea that we will always be in a warm country where it's summer. So, and then suddenly this car, which has no doors, was driving around Poland, snow everywhere,
and it's hard, isn't it?
And Louis, the driver, was like wearing, I don't know, he says 6 or 7 jackets and trousers. Yeah, you can see it in the film. You see him like the air's coming. He's like this, driving like this.
Yeah, because there was no heating, obviously.
There was no heating. No, it was a very simple car.
And would you just tell me quickly the last question? How do you think the film will impact the whole global warming? And then do you think it's going to like help to stop it?
Well, let's hope it does in a way. The main point of the film is to show that electric mobility is possible. So within those couple of years I've been involved in this project, the mentality has already changed a lot. When I started it, people were saying, okay, we might need a different version of mobility in a couple of years or whatever. Electric mobility is one of them. You also have hydrogen cars or whatever, you know. And in those years, it's good and funny and to see what happened. I mean, all major car companies are building electric cars now. We have a fabulous car series by Renault, which is starting this year, and BMW, and all the big car brands are thinking, okay, electric mobility is the way to do it. So I hope that this film helps to influence the way we perceive electric mobility and electric cars in the future, or basically right now, because for a lot of people who are not experts, electric cars are something they don't really trust. So what I want to show with this film is, you know, this guy, he built this car himself, and he managed to drive around the world. So yeah, let's do it. Let's get electric cars and save the planet.
Well, I hope good luck with the film. I hope you're going to make a big impact and you're going to get lots of rewards. Thank you very much for your conversation.
Thank you.